Hi and welcome back to my channel. Right now I'm at Fort Mathew and I'm also going to visit Fort Frederick and Fort George. Most people who visit Grenada will visit at least 1, 2 or 3 of these forts, whether it's Fort Mathew, Fort Frederick or Fort George. Fort Mathew and Fort Frederick are next to each other on Richmond Hill, and Fort George is in the town of St. George's. There used to be up to 8 forts on Grenada. 5 no longer exist, and so we're now left with the 3. They were designed to mitigate internal Amerindian attacks as well as slave uprisings and European invasions. So let's talk about Fort Mathew. Fort Mathew was built in 1784 through to 1790. It was built by the British and was named after a British governor called Edward Mathew. I remember when I was working with a charity in Grenada and I had to take some pictures to accompany a press release that I had written, and we came up here to take the pictures because, you know, it's actually very photogenic, it's atmospheric, especially if you're a fashion photographer. It's a great space to take a picture. Actually, Fort Mathew is the more interesting fort. There's so many nooks and crannies to walk around, so much to see. It is a genuine ruin. When you go to ruins in places like England, usually there's lots of fences stopping you from going there, stopping you from moving over there. But here there are no barriers, there's no fences, so it does make it a little bit dangerous, but it is the more interesting of the forts, I find. This space used to be used for parties, for nightclubs. I used to come here to see live bands, to listen to DJs. They had a bar, but I'm not sure if it's used for anything these days. It doesn't look like it's being used for anything. And the views are spectacular. I've come at the end of the day, so it is a little bit dusk, but the views are crazy from up here, so it's worth it just for the views alone. Fort Frederick was constructed by the French in 1779. Later it would be used by the British to fight against the French as they fought over ownership of Grenada. It's also called the backward facing fort because the cannons were facing inland instead of towards the sea. And the reason why is in 1779, when the French took Grenada, the Brits were expecting them to come in from this direction, they came from that direction. So when they took over this Fort Frederick, they faced inwards so that they could see them from every angle. And you can see that the views from Fort Frederick is amazing, even more amazing than Fort Mathews, because you're very high up and you can see all around. Now, Fort George is the oldest of the three forts. It was built from 1706 to 1710. Originally erected by the French in the 1600s, and they called it Fort Royal. But it was renamed Fort George by the British in 1763 in honour of King George III. It's gorgeous. Tricentennial Park is just down there. Over there you can see the carronade. This is where everything comes in for Grenada from abroad, all the ships. You can see Lagoon Road. That's the lagoon for Lagoon Road. And then you have Fort George. A sad history connected to the fort in St. George is the former Prime Minister, Maurice Bishop, was executed there. And I mention it in a vlog I did on Grenada's 47th birthday. In 1979, the New Dual movement, which was led by Maurice Bishop, overthrew the government in a coup, and they would rule in Grenada for 4 years. But then there was some infighting in the New Dual movement, and as a result, Maurice Bishop was executed along with some of the other members. It's known as a bastion tracer fort, which means that each level is covering fire for the other levels. It was once the heart of the town, but the town has grown and times have changed. Today it is used mostly by the Royal Grenada Police Force, but it is still open to the public. So I hope you enjoyed today's vlog. Please check out some of the other videos on my channel. If you like what you see, please leave a comment. I respond to all comments. And if you really like what you see, please subscribe. And I'll see you soon.